One of
The
those days.
the joys of working in a hospital never cease to amaze me. Um, the interesting thing that I had today, or at least that I saw. So this isn't related to what we're talking about today on this podcast, but kinda. The makers of those GLP-1 agonists that we mentioned on a podcast a couple weeks ago
I was reading this morning. Yep.
are being sued.
And I found it intriguing that they're being sued because it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Right. It's doing the exact thing that we talked about in the podcast that is an issue for a lot of people that try to utilize it solely for weight loss.
Like, go figure, gastric emptying being slowed is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, especially when it causes you just basically to not eat.
Yeah.
Um, and I know there's plenty of medical professionals out there that are decrying this lawsuit and saying that it doesn't make any sense and if people knew about it. Let's be honest, the vast majority of people that have been prescribing this medication for weight loss did not actually sit there and tell them, hey, it's going to cause you to possibly be nauseated if you eat too much because it's
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like, and I don't think initially people were researching it too much because it was touted, like we talked about, like as a miracle drug. It's like, okay, sweet, I can just lose weight. Like it's finally the magic pill. So why would you ask questions? I think now people are kind of finally starting to do so, and that's why there's lawsuits and stuff coming out. Like, oh, it does do stuff. Oh, it's not good for me to be literally be full of shit. All right, cool.
yeah. And the other thing with it as well, I feel bad for people that took it as the miracle pill and are now realizing that it's not.
Yeah,
Um, so, uh, bigger kind of issues thinking about it is that it's probably going to get settled out of court. They're going to pay some fine, and then they're going to remarket it as some other drug another time.
absolutely.
So, damn. But either way, I did find that story really interesting, especially in light of it being touted as what it is. So it kind of leads into what we're talking about in the respect that, let's say you didn't jump on the miracle drug and you have been busting your butt, working really hard in the gym, you've been watching your food, you've been losing weight, and all of a sudden the weight loss slows to a halt. You've hit the plateau.
I think everybody's greatest fear. Like when you're like I love when I talk to people that are just starting a weight loss program and they'll say, "What happens when I hit a plateau?" Like you've literally just started. We will worry about that when we get to it. Like
Right. When
I think first, like the most important thing though is to understand what the actual definition of a weight loss plateau is, because I run into this a lot with people I work with. So
right.
how would you define a weight loss plateau?
Well, I was going to go a little bit further
Ah,
than that, a little bit deeper,
ah.
if you will. So a plateau itself is a flat space.
Taking you back to fifth grade geography.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people may not remember that part, but it's just a flat area. If you're in a quote unquote weight loss plateau, you somehow manage to hit an equilibrium where your calories in and out are equal to each other and your weight no longer goes down and it doesn't go up. The vast majority of people that are in a weight loss plateau have reached a point where they don't want to lose any more weight or gain any more weight. And you have to be at that point for an extended period of time. Otherwise, it's just a peak, just a trough in the graph. And when I think about an extended period of time for a weight loss plateau, it's a couple of weeks at minimum.
Yeah, what I've read from most places, CDC being kind of the main one, is yeah, weight loss plateau or stall is defined as no weight loss or change in body composition in 2 weeks. Because I think a lot of people don't think about that. It's like, okay, again, we talk about tracking, the circumference measurements or your clothes or anything, body fat percentage. So like you can't just go, I'm not losing weight. Like, well, no, like if your waist is down an inch, you're probably doing something right. So yeah, at least 2 weeks. Because I deal with people all the time outside of franchise nutrition and fitness. Because I think we do a good job of educating our clients here. But like I have people that literally will say, I haven't lost weight in a day, I've plateaued.
Right. And a lot of thing that we see inside of franchise nutrition fitness and how we work with people uh, through franchisenf.com, where you can sign up for your meet and greet, is there are far more things to look at besides the scale to determine your success and your rate of loss inside of the program, mainly because where you notice it physically is not when you step on a scale, but when you look in a mirror, when you're out with your friends and your family, when you're going to pick up food or something like that. Like you're going to see the intuitive side of it, that this is what my body needs to consume to maintain where I'm at. And this is also what I need to restrict in order to decrease my weight, what I need to increase in order to increase my weight. And where I think it comes outside of it is that people that don't check their weight often or frequently enough don't see the subtle changes in it. Um, for example, inside of a week, you will likely have a variance of 2 to 5 pounds, possibly. And that's just a fluid kind of shift where you have a little more fluids on one day than another. Your body mass is changing. And if you track that over time from a month point to a month point, they might be the same if you only weighed yourself at two either ends of that month. But what about the points in between it? The when you're looking at lines and graphs and things like that, it's not made up of 2 points alone. Generally speaking, you need more than 2 points to make a graph. 2 points is a line, but you need more than 2 points to actually make a graph to show the changes over time.
Yeah, I think people don't take into account those fluctuations, and I've literally graphed this stuff out for people before, and like, look, you can see like that being up 5 pounds on Monday because it was Super Bowl Sunday is not 5 pounds of fat mass gain. Like, if it is, I'm really impressed. You had a really good Sunday, but like, yeah, accounting for those fluctuations, seeing that change over time, and not looking at those outliers, flyers, being able to see that constant change, which is nice.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot in there too with hormonal responses that people
Absolutely.
don't put in. For example, if you're a female, you have cycle changes with your menstrual cycle, so that's going to have a huge variance in there. But let's say you're not, you're a man. You wake up in the morning, you don't work out one day, the next day you do work out. The day after, probably going to be a little bit heavier because your body, hormonal response, trying to repair itself with the muscle that you've worked and all of those things, is holding on and retaining a little bit more fluid to help you move around the carbohydrates and the protein that it needs. So that's day to day. So you not being a plateau per se, but you have increased your weight. Day later,
It's
day later, you lose the extra fluid that you're holding on to, and now you're quote unquote plateaued because it's 2 days of the same weight instead of a week.
Yeah, so like same thing like for individuals who are on a weight loss program who start exercising on that program. But I think we've talked about it ad nauseum. I'm a huge proponent of strength training for fat loss. And so if you haven't been committed to any sort of strength training or physical activity program, you're going to start seeing some fluctuations in weight when you start. Your total blood volume increases, inflammation increases, fluid retention increases. There's all kinds of stuff that you're going to start lifting and go, oh God, I've gained weight. You have not. You
Right.
gained weight on the scale, but it will subside if you stick to it.
Right. And then if it subsides and it's back to the same starting weight that you were at, that again, that doesn't mean that you've hit a plateau. It's just that your body is stabilized where it's at. And so now the work that you've put in towards your weight loss or weight gain will start to show up after that. But let's say, for example, that you are truly in a weight loss plateau. You've magically reached the equilibrium state. And unlike some of us, you want to continue to gain weight or continue to lose weight. What would you do, Matt, if you were in a legitimate weight loss plateau?
Track. That's always the first thing I go to because I know you're a big fan of intuitive eating, and that is great. But like, I think for this, we make it super mathematical and super scientific because I always will always hear, I don't know why I've plateaued. Cool. I don't know why you have either. Let's track. Let's figure out why you have. Because as you lose weight, because I keep getting fixated on the weight loss because that's who I work with a lot. Like as you lose weight, your body burns less calories. So you need less calories. Your body becomes more efficient at the exercise you're doing. So if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, you're burning less calories. So let's figure out what your maintenance calories are. Because you've plateaued out over 2 weeks, let's track every day and see, okay, if you're taking an X number of calories, boom, that's what you're doing to maintain. Let's up the physical activity. Let's decrease the calories you're taking in a little bit. Boom, done. We've taken that frustrating part out for you.
Right. And all of that Matt just explained in a scientific term is metabolic adaptation, which happens with everybody in every weight management program, whether it's gaining weight or losing weight. There is going to be some amount of metabolic adaptation because you put forth the effort towards those things. So the increased amount of activity that you have, your body is adapted to that. And that stimulus, if you've landed in a weight loss plateau, that means that it's been 3 to 4 weeks of the same weight. So that's also 3 to 4 weeks of the same programming. Maybe now, kind of what Matt's saying, you track everything, your nutrition's dead on, but maybe there needs to be some way to increase your activity. Maybe you can add something in, or you could also take something away. My personal favorite thing to do is, and you can go back and listen to some other podcasts about this, we've put it out there plenty of times, is to slowly increase your calories if you've been in a weight loss plateau for a significant period of time, whether it's 4 to 6 weeks, and you see that there's nothing changes and all of your workouts are still going the same. Slowly increase your calories. What that's going to help you do is become more adapted to a higher calorie need. So that way you do that over a couple of weeks of period of time. Again, that goes back to a tracking thing. I know that I talk about intuitive eating more so than Matt does, but that's just kind of the process that I've utilized with a lot of clients, with myself, to try and reach points. But if I was trying to lose weight and it was me and I needed to add in calories from an intuitive eating standpoint, that's something like a half piece of fruit every day, or a small fruit like a mandarin orange or something, add another one in, and then the next week it's that plus a hard-boiled egg, right? So small incremental changes is a small amount of calories, small amount of protein if you're doing the math with it, but because of that your body's going to adapt to that smaller number. And as that increases, that's going to give you more room to cut calories by, now I've increased, let's say it's 3 weeks, and now I have in, we'll say, a slice of bread and another 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, right? So it's a serving of peanut butter and a serving of bread that I've gone extra. If I cut out an entire sandwich, so 2 slices of bread and the peanut butter at that point in time, now I've put myself back into a deficit. I'm going to start seeing the weight come back down again. That's again because now I'm in a deficit and I'm no longer in an equilibrium. And if you go back to the original 3 weeks before, all I've actually cut out is one extra slice of bread. So I haven't really cut out a huge volume of food. It's just that I created that uptick to go back
Yeah,
down
you're
again.
you're not having to quote starve yourself. Like you're not going, oh God, like why am I taking so much food out? Like, and I think you hit the nail on the head for when you're adding food or subtracting food on any sort of program, not even with it's a weight plateau, small increments. I think so often that people, like I know you talk about bulking a lot. So they're like, oh, I gotta bulk up. I'm gonna add 2,000 calories into my diet. no, let's see what the minimum is I can do that. And same with on a caloric deficit of wanting to lose weight. Like, okay, what can I cut out? Like, it doesn't have to be, oh God, all of a sudden gotta, restrict everything and not eat fruit, and not eat carbohydrates and go keto. Like, let's go, okay, how about I cut 200 calories a day and see if that works and go from there and then slowly start adding more to that.
Yeah. Any diet that suggests that you need to completely eliminate an entire food group or an entire food is not good for you. And I want to point this out because we're talking about weight loss plateaus. There are multiple problems with the culture around diet with eliminating food. In the past month, I have seen news stories of at least 4 people that have died from malnutrition that are following some
Yep,
ridiculous diet that I would never ever recommend. And if you're one of those people that is listening to this podcast and you purport that kind of thing, I would love to have you on here
absolutely.
and we'll all have a nice discussion about it. We do it very calmly. I'm not going to be argumentative or anything. The issue that is with that is that that pushes a lot of people to do things that are not good for them. And then if they tell their other friends, then that person might do it also. And then so on and so forth. And it just develops this terrible cycle of eating disorders and disordered eating, right? So there's two different parent groups there. Those are not the same. But inside of that, if you are in an actual weight loss plateau and you're listening to this podcast, head on over to franchisenf.com, sign up for your meet and greet today. We'll walk you through all the steps that we normally walk clients through to help you get back into a weight loss program. And at the same time, no food is going to be totally off limits. You're still
That's
going to
all,
be,
all, all about moderation.
yeah,
Like we talked about before, like earlier this year when I was cutting, I was still drinking beer. We've talked about our love for beer and our love for alcohol, like within moderation. So like I didn't have to cut that out. I didn't have to cut out anything I enjoyed. I was eating smaller portions and doing a little bit more cardio to go into caloric deficit. It's crazy how that works. I didn't have to go on some crash diet that was unhealthy for me.
yeah. So remember, weight loss plateau. How long is a weight loss plateau, Matt?
At least 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks, at minimum 2 weeks. And if you are in a weight loss plateau, what should you start doing, Matt?
Tracking.
Track your food. It could be either you writing stuff down what you ate without looking at the numbers that's involved. You can use an app to track what you're doing, and you have to track every single thing. There's a packet of ketchup. You got to put a packet of ketchup in there. There's calories in that. Every bite counts, and so all of that's going to be added into what is the calories that has been sustaining you. And so then what would the next thing be that you do after that, after you figure out the calories that's been sustaining where you're at?
And figure out how to modify it. So, like you said, like potentially start adding a few calories back in, just slowly and surely, not going, hey, all of a sudden I can eat another 1,000 calories.
Yeah. And let's say that, for example, for this sake of the argument, you're track everything and you're taking in 2,000 calories. You can cut down to 1,500, but I really wouldn't recommend that you go below that.
You know,
Most people, most adults especially, need at minimum around 1,600, 1,800 calories. Most adults, not saying everybody. So it would be unwise of you to go much further below 1,500 for any extended period of time. If you are on the other side of it and you need to add some back in, again, small incremental amounts, like 100 to 150 calories a day, I think. So that's where I would begin. And
we can help you do that. And like you said, like it is tedious tracking. I do recognize that. That's the reason a lot of people don't want to do it. So, like you said, just writing down the foods when you meet with me, we can work on that together. We can figure out how many calories you're taking because that is a tedious process if you're not using MyFitnessPal or some different trackers. But eventually, I like the tracking because it leads to intuitive. I know what 2,000 calories looks like for me on a given day because all the tracking I've done. Eventually, you can get that way, and then when you plateau, we'll track a little bit again and get back into it. doesn't have to be this lifelong, tedious, oh my God, I can't believe I have to track my food every single day.
Right. So, in that, if you have any questions, head over to franchisenf.com, sign up for your free meet and greet today, or send us a message. We'll be happy to get back to you as soon as we can. By the way, like we say every week, maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep.